Hello everybody, welcome back to Quali-Tea time, and I guess first and foremost, hello to everybody that ended up here from the Oxcast Reddit. Probably should have seen that one coming, I guess. Haven't managed to find where you actually linked this video, but yeah, fair clarification, I guess. I don't usually do big discussion pieces on what's happening in my industry. The majority of these videos are just, hey, here's something that happened in my week, that kind of thing, you know, normally kind of vloggy content. But when something big goes down, it'd be irresponsible of me to not discuss it. So yeah, I don't touch everything that goes down in my industry. You will usually find that on my Twitter, twitter.com/lyinginbedmore. But, you know, when it lands a little closer to me, and a lot of my fandom comes from the Oxcast fandom, one way or another, so worth addressing that. Other than that, though, the only real news this week is that I'm still getting to grips with the new camera. The video capabilities I'm getting a decent enough fix on. I most need to try and tinker around a bit more to tweak the white balancing. You'll see that a lot. There's also a matter that I'm pretty sure the lights that I've previously used for actor lighting are in fact way too bright for this camera, and I can't really control those very well. So yeah, I probably need to upgrade those next, which... that's been overdue for a while, so bleh. Other than that though, I have mostly been tinkering around with the actual photography elements, and I actually managed to venture out to the park nearby recently and get a few nice little snaps once the rain subsided. So those will be going towards the postcards that are coming out for the 4-year anniversary on Patreon this month. So if you are a patron between the 18th and the 31st, doesn't care what tier, just as long as you put in the postal address, really, you'll get a postcard with one of those pictures or something similar to them. I haven't 100% nailed what picture I'll be using, but nonetheless I'm taking them. And a little heartfelt message on the back, written by me, so good luck reading it because my handwriting is terrible, but we'll see. Other than that though, we don't have terribly much going on, so on to the schedule. On Thursday night at 9 PM BST, we have more Midnight Warframe as we charge into the thick of it with The War Within. Then on Friday at 9 PM BST, we have more Friday Night with Dead by Daylight talking about the recent reveal of the Stranger Things crossover. Then on Saturday at 7, we have Dungeons & Dragon Hats where the trio nearly died against one creature. How many does the rest of the dungeon hold? Followed, of course, with the Carousel at 9, where we talk about whoever is still standing, most likely. And finishing off the week with Tuesday at 9, we have more Building Blocks working on various oddities. And the videos you might have missed for the week. We have an episode of Dailies by Daylight where, by popular vote, I am discussing the problems in the perk ecosystem and suggesting at least one method of resolving it without just nerfing a dozen different perks. And we have an episode of Just the Basics Factorio, where the first red circuits roll off the production line. And on to the questions. So as always, these are drawn from the comments section of the preceding vlog. So if any of y'all got here from Reddit and you want to ask me a question, drop it down below, and I'll get to it next week. Our first question of the week comes from Casually Ironic Knight. Will you be at MCM this year? The answer to that is almost categorically no. Not for any, ideological reason. It's just that we did get a big lump sum of cash recently, thanks to the government finally working itself out. But it was the kind of scale where it totally could have funded us going to MCM, but it was much better and wiser to invest that in more long-term kind of things, because we'd needed that money for 3 to 4 months and we were on the barest edges of solubility, so yeah, so hence I got the new camera and the equipment that goes with it and all sorts, and now I can do a whole bunch more stuff as a consequence, whereas if I paid for tickets to go to MCM, we could go to MCM once, and then we'd be back in the hole. London is a very expensive place to be, if you didn't know, so yeah, no MCM this year, maybe next year. We are pushing to try and grow the Patreon as large as we possibly can, currently. Patreon.com/ly, just by the by. And BusyBee173 asks, how long does it take to put a D&D campaign together? Generally speaking, this will vary depending on the Dungeon Master in question. I have gotten, depending on who you ask, I've gotten very good at improv, so I will usually have the bare bones layout of a campaign put together and I will just riff on that as inspiration and spin the wheels and write down what I come up with as canon going through the sessions, which makes things much snappier. Things aren't as locked in. A lot of people don't play well with that. A lot of people prefer to have much more forethought, I guess, put into their games, so they like to have box text is the recurring thing. Box text, which is just a literal box of text that just describes one thing or another in a nice little kind of like prose manner. I don't tend to have very much of that. I come up with that on the fly most frequently. But generally speaking, depending on the kind of campaign I'm putting together, it'll take me maybe a week at most to put together a campaign. There's a matter of whether you're using a pre-existing setting. Do you have to come up with that? Do you have to make lore for that? There's an idea of coming up with some semblance of an actual plan of what exactly is going down and how do your PCs fit into it, that sort of thing. Dungeon crawls are usually a lot easier than that, because all you really need is just a building, pretty much. Unless your PCs decide not to ever go in the dungeon, as I've recently had problems with. But if you're doing, like, outside of dungeon crawls, it gets much longer, and you can maybe take more than a week for that. But, you know, it just depends how much time you got free to actually work on it. So, for me, generally about a week or so. That's the kind of notice I like to have ahead of time before needing a new campaign. But it varies dramatically. And that's all that we have for today. So, I hope you've all enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed this little camera angle. Figured I'd set this up anyways, because I can now. It's fun. It's very easy to set up new camera angles. Yay. And I shall as ever catch you all next time.